All right.
If the board wants any information presented in a different way, any additional information, let me know. If we want to bring the engineers in to pay them to present the information in a different way, they can. The CPAs have not been the ones that have put these spreadsheets together. This has been, it's in a construction project, it's typically an engineering task, and that has been the district, the contract engineers that have done this work. They've got a very complicated spreadsheet, and they can present the information in any way, but again, you know, it just depends on how much more work we want to have them do, and where we feel like information gaps are, and we'll present it.
Thank you. Mr. Rubin.
You know, I think one of the problems with the process that we're starting to use is that the way it's supposed to work is we're going to vote on something. So those guys will say, please don't vote on this thing because, right? We beg you, please. But when it's an informational item, it doesn't seem to work as good because that's the problem. And this was just an informational item. They didn't know, Wes said he didn't really know what he's going to comment about. It should maybe, it needed to maybe be in the consent agenda or somewhere else maybe. It doesn't, the process doesn't work as well when they're trying to lobby you to do something, because we're not doing anything.
Right, this is just information.
And that's part of the problem, I think, with this particular item right now.
Right.
My comment.
Dan?
I have nothing else.
Jim? All right, thank you for the information. Let's move on to item 4C. This is a staff presentation and discussion regarding the status of district operation of water system maintenance, fleet maintenance, weakness, and opportunities for improvement.
Is this an action item or not?
No, this is
informational.
Another informational item.
So it'd be hard for them to know what to say.
Well,
I think, you know, before we go on, you know, we have an...
I'm not just...
I know. But one of the things here is we're here to conduct business, and it's for the board to decide what... Now, if there's an item and it's informational and somebody wants something, the route to do that is to go, you know, you presented this, and then we can bring it back up and we can turn it into an action item. Again, we're going to discuss it, and we're going to get their comments, but we're, you know, trying to get their comments. At last night's meeting of the store, the board sat there and said, come on up and talk. They sat there, and the board sat there and listened to all of the public comment, and then after the fact. So we're not following anything out of line, you know, so.
Okay. I'm not arguing.
That was just one subject.
So, and we're giving you a chance on each item here to prevent, if you have a comment prior to us going forward, it's the same concept. We're asking, what is your comment on this? If you say, I don't understand it, can you explain it to us? Whatever, let us know, and we'll try to accommodate you. So.
I have a question on this right here. The El Prado wells, correct? You drilled two of the wells in El Prado Park area. How come they're not in here? Did you do it without permits from Tuolumne County?
Victor, if you would have followed along on the other reports, I'll answer your question. Wells 3 and 4 were in those other sheets. Those well costs are all incorporated into, it's not distinct by individual well on that summary sheet. So, yes, they're in. You go back to the other package, 29 through 33, and you'll see them in there. Okay. So, go ahead.
Well, you know, and this agenda item is yet to be refined. I would really like to know what the board in general would like to know. The reason that I bring this up is, you know, Danny and I, Mr. President, and I have a lot of conversations about the operation of the district, and a lot of questions that have been raised about the district and its operation since the beginning. A lot of things that have really never been answered. Why this? Why can't we do that? What keeps us from saving money here? And at the last board meeting, before I so abruptly had a grandson, I was halfway through a presentation on the operation, and after a month of thinking about it, I want to present this to the whole board and see where we want to go on it, because the main thing is when I'm presenting little bits and pieces of information, I seem to, in many cases, create more questions than I give answers, okay? And the intent of this item was to just basically continue the education of the board about what it takes to operate the district. What is it that hamstrings us? What takes up our time? Where are we strong? Where are we weak? So that as we develop staffing plans and salary schedules and expectations and maintenance plans and everything else as we go forward, that we can understand, is it realistic? It doesn't do us as a district a heck of a lot of good to say we are going to have meticulously maintained equipment and we're going to do it with one person. Not that we're saying we do have one person, but everybody can say it. And a lot of us have been in businesses where we've had goals set out for us that were just absolutely impossible to attain. And so you spin your wheels all the time explaining why you're not obtaining the goals, you know? And so the intent here is to, because in reports, in many cases we had a lot of questions and it wasn't agendized, so we moved past it. So I want to get some things related to the operations out there, and they'll likely generate more action. One of the major issues with our staffing, with our capabilities, and with our system is that we have allowed the maintenance of the system and the investments in replacement to lapse. Okay, so that I think we have seen the level of failures of certain things, primarily mechanical equipment or electrical equipment is original in many cases. The SCADA was never understood over the last 15 years. A lot of projects that were in early capital improvement programs have never been completed because they were programmed to be done in-house. And we had changes in staffing, we had changes in capabilities, we had funding restrictions and different things that just kept those moving forward. We've had personnel issues over time, and not getting into specifics in any any person or any issue, but we've had inexperienced people, uncertified people come in and have to be trained by people that are not all that certified, that are certified but may not have all that much experience in the system. We haven't in the past offered technical training and required that as part of the job as it relates to things like maintenance of complex pressure regulating valves and electrical controls and the SCADA system. Those are all things that in the future are likely going to be needed and required to be able to provide a minimum level of maintenance. Okay? When we do that, we make our employees much more valuable. Then we've got to consider, are we paying employees what they're worth, and are we going to start losing them to the competition because we've invested in their training and education and certification. Those are things to consider. The accountability factor right now, we've scratched out a maintenance program. I can tell you we have not, other than doing remote readings and site inspections and finding problems, we have not been able to implement the maintenance program with the new employee, with one existing employee, and our maintenance superintendent. We seem to have always more work to do than can be organized in a day. We also need some leadership and supervision training. to make sure that all of the performance expectations of the existing staff can be set out, you know. I mean, we've really evolved from working people, you know, in Randy's case, from a working person put into a supervisory position without the training or responsibility to accountability to be able to get the work done. So we've got, and I'm not just talking about bad things, we got a great system. We have a cash flow to be able to do replacements. We're planning improvements. We're making improvements to the system. Adding the redundancy in the booster pump, replacing the service lines, getting the zone meters together.